up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Red 89 here, finally here for another Courage the Cowardly Dog deep dive with my buddy Steve from Voices, and it's finally time for us to finish off season three. This is going to be very exciting because I think it was a very strong batch of horror-like themed episodes. So, what do you think, Steve? How are you feeling for these last four?
We're in the home stretch now, right? Yeah, no, it's a great strong ending for the season. I think, yeah, just percentage wise, I enjoyed a lot of these. You usually get a couple of like, ones where you can kind of take and leave it when you kind of do these all back to back. But I think I have some real favorites to shout out here, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it, this batch.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of reoccurring characters, a lot of cool, fun vibes, and I think even our creative like resolutions. There's like creative resolutions for all the episodes and stuff. So, shall we get down into it now? Right, let's get into our
Yeah.
first episode, part one.
So this is season 3, episode 11, part 1, Dome of Doom. After a drought, Courage and his owners are unable to grow food, but when they read an advertisement of free food, they order it. However, the plant, fruits, and veggies are carnivorous and attempt to eat them. Yeah, kind of bit of a, less of a synopsis or a snippet. This is kind of gives you the whole rundown. Yeah, so they get this, like, it don't remind me of, like, well, I mean, actually, it's nothing like the movie, but just the concept of the dome made me think of Biodome with Pauly Shore.
Totally, yeah. That was my first thought because it took me back to being a kid and like Pauly Shore. I did go through like a Pauly Shore phase as a kid where like his movies were often watched, and yeah, I definitely thought of the Dome.
Yeah, right. Oh man, that was an era in cinema, the Pauly Shore era.
For sure. But yeah, and then I thought the plants thing, I think, yeah, definitely gave that kind of attack on or attack on Killer Tomatoes, but almost the happening, like kind of M. Night Shyamalan. It gave those kind of vibes, you know what I mean? They're carnivorous, but they want to take us out kind of thing. But I thought it was really cool the design and how fast they grew too, like, and how you could control it. And it just like went out of control.
Yeah, like the store, yeah, it stormed out of control, and it was like not even maybe like an overnight thing, kind of, right?
Yeah, yeah. The next morning it was like botanical gardens. It was like poison ivy style.
Yeah, it was sort of the Garden of Eden from hell, right?
You know,
No, it's fun. Again, they continue with I don't know if there is a particularly environmental message here. Maybe be careful of where you order your, you know, horticulture goods from.
I think that's true too. Yeah, a lot of our stuff has been, like I said, either on focusing on the environment, but also consumerism has been a huge topic a lot of the times when it comes to courage too, even Eustace's character, you know what I mean? So I think all those themes are very prominent, and I love that this batch of episodes, I think, highlights a lot of those themes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, this is fun. I like your reference to, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That's one of my favorite sort of like B-ish movies.
Yeah.
Even though they know they're a B movie and they have fun with it. So, if you know you're a B movie, can you really call yourself a B movie? I don't know. It's very chaos. It's very campy, very fun. Probably not because we've had like not carnivorous, but sentient food before, right? Because we've had like the bananas. I remember the bananas.
Yeah, we
Um,
had the bananas. Yeah, that was a whole thing that episode before. And then I think we've only had another episode where I've seen where Eustace was struggling to grow plants. I remember that one, like when they were struggling to
yeah.
grow that plant, that one plant that they needed to grow, or else they were going to get the farm taken.
Uh-huh. Right, right. Um, but yeah, let's see if we could I have some like production notes and little bits here. So each veggie seems to have its DNA spliced with certain animals, which is interesting. So again, probably again commentary on like maybe GMOs or just like be careful what you put in your food. So you have like the tomato is sort of spliced with like hornets, peas or pythons, cabbages or piranhas.
Oh yeah, yeah, the cabbages. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they work for us.
hmm Other little snippets to sort of look out for. There's a lot of shared music. They use some of the musical suite from Shirley the Medium here, which is funny because she does come back in this batch of episodes. So maybe they were like,
Yeah.
let's put a stringed musical kind of motif going through.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Let the show. Every time I brought up the show, yeah, it seems that a lot of people have very fond memories. Like everybody when they talk about the show, and I think it's because you can see the care. Like even watching these episodes, like I said, even if they aren't as strong, certain ones, but like this season three for this batch, I was very happy with the strength of the episodes based on the music, animation, and all the stories and stuff. So very, very good one for our first part of our episode.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Shall we move on to part
The
two?
snowman, yeah.
First of our returning batch, which there were a lot in these episodes. So after the North Pole faces heat and everything melts, the snowman creates a mechanical mitten that allows the user to produce snow at will. He moves into the farmhouse, freezes it, causes extreme coldness upon courage and his owners. Um, so yeah, so we get the return of the snowman.
Oh yeah, and his awesome was okay, what his accent is kind of like a Sean Connery
It's
accent,
the
right? He's got like the
Yeah, Sean Connery, the
yeah.
snowman has returned. Yes.
I
Um,
think he's one of my favorites just based on accent and the character and the charisma that he has on screen. He just has a certain vibe to him. I very much enjoy seeing the snowman.
Yes, yes. So obviously, yeah, right. We're commenting on the melting of the polar ice caps here. There's some loneliness. I mean, he's trying to save his life here, right? I mean, there's sort of this
Oh
desperation.
yeah, because he lost all his friends, right? Right, he had his friends and they all melted too. So it's like he's the very last surviving of his species, which is another thing to comment on. Like I said, was it extinction kind of
Mhm.
because he's about to go extinct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not. I mean, directly, it's affecting polar bears in real life, right? Polar bears,
Yes.
seals, right? I think, or whatever. Um, oh my God, it's like one of those like Planet Earth documentaries where like there were literally, I think it was like seals, I could be wrong,
Hmm.
that were like literally like jumping to their death because the polar ice caps were melting. I mean, it is a
Oh, no.
traumatizing scene. It has scarred me.
It's,
Um,
yeah, it's one of those things that hits you like,
yeah, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I was not even expecting it. But yeah, I think it was one of like the Planet Earth episodes. But obviously, yeah, so instead of like showing, like polar bears and like seals and stuff dying, um, we're gonna use a snowman instead. Which, it's a little more kid friendly here. But yeah, it was really devastating. I mean, you really feel for this guy. It's like his whole, he's yeah, it really it hits. I mean, yes, obviously, they're being a little more comical with this show, but
yeah.
really really puts you in your feels when you're thinking about it.
Oh yeah, because even when he's like freezing them and he's freezing all the environment, he still wants to be friends with Courage. He wants to talk to Mario and Eustace and stuff. He tries to kind of make new friends or make a family with them, even though, they can't sustain the frozen life like he can.
Yeah, right. But just some shout outs for some of the writing in the episode. So the pilot is named Captain John Dilworth, which is behind creating Courage.
Yep.
And then they've upped the ante on the Sean Connery James Bond of it all. So his gun is the Cold Finger. Which Goldfinger, if you
Yep.
don't know. As a James Bond villain. Yeah. And then this was another episode that, well, I think the last one too, similar. I think these two pieces, segments were produced much earlier, and I guess they shifted some of the episodes around, which may be part of why when we were looking at the episode list, it's a little off. Um,
Yeah.
it is an earlier produced episode, which happens sometimes with animation. It happened with, I know it's happened with the X-Men animated series. Like if you go back and like look at the episode stuff, some of it's a bunch like out of order because animation takes a long time and sometimes episodes aren't ready.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
Um,
that's what's interesting too, is like I think it was fascinating that we kind of like I messaged you I think last week about that where I was like, I think there's an extra episode. And I was
so we're gonna be covering 4 episodes, which we may or may not be then finishing season 3 and maybe starting season 4.
Yeah,
We don't
technically,
know.
yeah, it might be.
So yeah, whatever. That we're just going by HBO Max and what they have on there. But
Yeah.
I think all the other listings have it as the season 4 premiere. But that's fine. Anyway, so I guess there was some maybe behind the scenes issues with producing these episodes, which I'm curious about.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, yeah.
So now
Uh,
on to, was it episode 12, part one?
yeah, so episode 12, part 1. This is actually my favorite of the bunch. is the Quilt Club. This is so
Nice.
fun. So Mariel and Courage go to a quilt shop and meet conjoined twin sisters. Mariel wants to be part of their quilt club, so she goes to an extreme quilt making test to join them. But Courage smells something fishy. Yeah, this was the episode for me. This was so fun. So you get these conjoined twins, which is very horror story freak show. But I'm trying to think. I
Yeah.
can't remember the
Yep.
movie that was not Carnival. What was it based on? Is it called Freaks? I think the movie's called
Freaks,
Freaks.
yeah, I think was the movie, yeah, from the black and
Um,
white days. Yeah.
yeah. So it gave me Freaks vibes because you had these conjoined twins. And then they're really pushing Muriel here to like, how bad do you want to join? It's almost like gives me like, I don't know if they're really commenting on like fraternities and sororities kind of a little bit, right? But
Yeah.
like, they make it so hard to get accepted that she just like loses it and keeps trying to make this quilt. And she's using all the fabric from the house and all this stuff to make these like impressive quilts. But yeah, no, and then the music and the lighting in this episode was just so cool. It was so eerie. It really was unsettling. Um, and yeah, no, the sisters were fun. What did you think?
I think for me, yeah, definitely. I'm glad you brought up the music because I think this was probably my favorite music out of the batch of episodes we had. The music score in this one was really good. And like you said, this one has a certain atmosphere that just kind of bleeds through the screen and you can feel it. And I think Mariel, just being a perfectionist, she wants to be the perfect, sister or teammate,
Hmm.
especially if somebody wants Mariel to join. She's like, I'm going to be there. She's like, I'm going to be your A team mate. You know what I mean? That's how
Yeah.
she is.
Well, the Quilt Club apparently grants these sisters, I guess, immortality, right? Because apparently the Quilt Club has been going on for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
which is fascinating. And so, yeah, the big twist being like, you give your all to the quilt, and then you yourself are put into the quilt. And I guess they showed like
The
Victorian
different
times
generations of
and
people. Yeah,
yeah, like early American settlers, like 1600s sort of stuff. Like it was going back a long time. And then so Courage kind of figures out how to. I guess he like talks through the
he
quilt,
puts
gets her
himself
out.
into it, right? Or right, something like that, doesn't he?
I don't. Does he like? I don't know if he goes into the quilt, but he's able to communicate
Yeah,
through the quilt. Um, And so she like gets herself out. But then and with that, everyone else kind of comes out. And then the sisters get kind of it gets reversed on them and they get quilted
yeah,
into
and they
it.
get put into the quilting. I remember
And then but
that.
then all the women come out and she has her quilt club of like an intergenerational quilt club here. Um Even more than intergenerational. It's like spanning hundreds of years. But no, this was fun. Yeah, like the music was so good. So like again, even if it's not like super super scary, because it's Courage, it's not gonna be like just pure nightmare fuel. But I would say like they do a lot with the music here and the lighting, and just like it's all about the atmosphere.
Definitely. There's totally, like you said, strong atmosphere and also like the design you were saying, the colors and everything. There's a lot of scenes and courage that I would say would be beautiful, kind of almost paintings. You can pause certain shots or certain scenes or just characters. Like I said, the way they're designed would be like a fabulous kind of art piece. So that's why I like it because Courage, you can tell that by this time they're definitely fluid with their animation and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but so good, so good. Yeah, no big notes on this one. Just in a similar batch of early produced episodes that kind of got shifted around here. Um, you know, do, 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 do. Yeah, and then a lot of contrast changes. I'm just noting, where like
Yeah.
nowhere is shown sunny and bright. Like the sisters' Stitch shop is always dark, always
Yeah, it's
cloudy,
always
always stormy.
there.
Uh, so yeah, just some real like stark differences.
Oh, yeah. So now should we get on to part two of episode 12?
Yeah, I know you said this was one you were really into.
Our
Swindlin
swindle wind.
Gwendolyn Wind. Courage and his owners go to Shirley's shop, where Muriel sees a necklace she wants. No one ever, I don't think, no one ever recognizes the reoccurring characters. I don't think. I think maybe Courage recognizes her. I don't know. But Eustace gives Shirley an oil deed for the necklace, but she realizes that it's an oil bill. So
Yeah.
gives her a bill, not ownership over oil. And then angry that Eustace rips her off, like he rips everyone off. She curses them to swindle each other, which
That
was
was my
very good.
favorite part is yeah, I know like it totally like the curse vibe and the fact that she made them be greedy and swindle each other. Like I thought it was great because it kind of played into very slapsticky comedy stuff, which I loved between Eustace and Mario. You know what I mean? That bickering, that back and forth, and all that stuff, which I really enjoyed. But the just the whole like curse coming from like the gypsy Shirley, you know what I mean? It kind of also gave me thinner vibes. So I really loved this episode, and Shirley is probably my favorite reoccurring character.
Oh, she's fun. The accent's fun. Who doesn't love like an old school gypsy curse, right? Although I guess the trope's dated these days, but I still enjoy it for what it is. Um, and yeah, little things. She doesn't have her usual saxophone. She uses a billow to cast her curse in this
Okay,
one.
nice
So
pickup.
some
That's
little
a good one.
changes here. She's casting curses a different way. Um, and yeah, so this is another episode where it's about finding our way to the villain. I use that loosely. Um, the antagonist's heart. So it's all about
Yeah,
getting Shirley to sort of see the sweetness that doesn't really exist with Eustace and Muriel, but it's but Courage is
it's
trying to make it
buried.
happen.
Yeah, it's buried deep in there. Like he kind, yeah, you said like the other people that she previously cursed. We end up seeing that she kind of lifts the curse and kind of clicks that light bulb with Courage, where he's like, "This is how I'm gonna get her to fix it." You know what I mean? But yeah, no, Courage has to really kind of dig deep in there to kind of make it, known.
Yeah. Well, it's about like, yeah, because I think the man was willing to take his girlfriend's pain on or something, or her affliction or something.
Yep.
It was an act of selflessness, right? And I forgot what it was that was the swap. I mean, Courage made it look like one thing. Oh no, he wanted her Muriel's thing on her foot, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah, and it jumped to Eustace's foot. That little like it was like a tick. It's a tick, I think. Those things
The tick.
that
I want that tick. He swindled the tick away from her, and then the curse went.
he was like a farmer looking tick. He was like a southern farmer looking tick.
Wild. Yeah, some of the things they come up with is so funny.
Yeah, even when they go stereotypical in cartoons, that's why I miss comedy like this because even when you watch there's some shows now, but even when you watch cartoon or even television shows or comedy movies, they don't hit like they used to, and it's just because like there's stuff you can't do now apparently. But yeah, it's Courage. I love how with this show and the time that it came out, it was very ahead of its time. And like I said, we're able to put these comedy beats in there that we're
Yeah,
totally comfortable with because it's a cartoon.
I mean, whether it's stuff that you can't do anymore, or I just think some of the writers were on something. I think there was a lot more drugs happening in the writers' room, than maybe
They're more
currently would have.
free. They're just free spirited, and it's just flowing out of their minds.
There's this, yeah, I think you just have to have a certain zaniness. I'm not saying necessarily you don't have to do drugs to be creative. I think there's just like a certain zaniness to being like a cartoon writer that you need to like order to like make that humor hit.
Yeah,
Cross generations, right? You want to make it for kids, but you also want to make the adults laugh. And I think you just have to have that certain POV, right, as a writer, as an animator,
yeah.
which is what makes Courage still work.
Oh yeah. So yeah, definitely probably like I said, our favorite batch. Our favorite episode was episode 12. Clearly, me and
I'm
Steve
gonna
love
say,
this
yeah,
one.
yeah, if B is yours and A is mine, I think, yeah, that definitely I think makes it the favorite of the batch.
All
Um, so the next
But
one,
shall we go to episode 13?
yeah, I was on the same wave. Like I was right about to hop right in. Episode 13, part A, King of Flan. Another funny one. I enjoyed this one too. King of Flan uses television to hypnotize everyone in Nowhere to eat as much flan as possible. As the citizens of Nowhere become addicted to flan, and become horribly overweight, Courage must stop the king before he leads the city to a path of obesity and doom. So I mean they're definitely touching on the addictiveness of like the addictive nature of certain food, right? I think about like fast food. It's interesting that he's a king. I don't know if it's like I might be reaching here, but I think of like Burger King. I don't know,
Burger.
maybe. Um, but like, yeah, I mean that fast food, which isn't very good for you, is very addictive, and it's very like insidious in that way, right? Because it's not good for us. It tastes good. We all need, it's okay to enjoy it, right? But it becomes, a bit of a habit here. Obviously, he's hypnotizing, um, which is interesting, right? Well, because I always think about like how McDonald's uses like yellow and red. I think yellow is supposed to make you hungry. Like there's like a link between the color yellow and hunger.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of these companies they spend a good amount of money in the consumerism aspect of how people and what we think about like when we go to these places and stuff, and you can tell that this episode was taking on those themes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh man, I think of like, oh my God, did you ever see the documentary Super Size Me?
Yeah.
So good. We had to watch it in school in health class because we were just talking about like nutrition and stuff. And yeah, man. I mean, I still go to those places, but I like actively. I think they got rid of super. You can't super. There's no super sizes anymore, which is
No.
interesting. They got rid of all of that. And the last I was at McDonald's recently. I brought my son for the first time. Yeah, and they only have not for the first time, but it was like maybe his third time going. They only have regular and large. So they got rid of small too, which is weird. I don't know what the math on that
Yeah, they
was.
just kind of cut out the middleman. It's like
Yeah, it was just like small, regular, or large. And then there's no small and there's no super. It's just two, which I guess, you know what, maybe financially, maybe it's easier to just produce 2 cups instead of four.
it could be, yeah. I always
Um,
like just go to them less now because I feel like they do upcharge now. Like I feel like
oh
it's
my
more
gosh.
expensive for me.
Oh no, it's true too. Fast food is supposed to be cheaper, but it's really not anymore. Although McDonald's has upgraded at least the restaurant part of it experience. Like you order it and you take a little number to your table and they bring it to you now. It's
Nice.
like fancy. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, they've really fancified McDonald's. But anywho, on to the flan episode. Yeah, our king of flan. He's a funny little guy. I like him.
Oh, fantasy flan,
Fantasy
fantasy
flan.
flan.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
that hypnotizing thing, it totally brought me back to because we had the whole Sean Connery Snowman. This one made me think of a 007 villain. I believe it was World Is Not Enough. It was one of the Pierce Brosnan ones. It was a
Okay.
guy who was trying to use media to influence, and he was trying to take over media and stuff like that. That was like
Mm.
his goal, his evil plan. But I thought this one, yeah, I think it was funny that they also kind of brought me to Larry Cohen's The Stuff, like you said, just that consumerism aspect of do we really know what we're buying? Why are we so addicted to it and everything? And we just want more and more. And like you said, it's flying off the shelves. People are addicted to it. So it's just this episode really had a lot of fun aspects to it.
Listen, I like flan. I don't know if I could eat as much as they did in this episode. I really,
Oh no, yeah,
but flan is good. Um, yeah, he almost had like a little bit of a with the accent. I'm almost getting like a little like Ricky, like Lucy and Ricky kind of. There's like a has a
yeah.
little bit of that. Does he?
I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he kind of has that bit of a. I don't know if it's supposed to be a Cuban accent, but yeah, no, it's fine. And then yeah, so Courage sort of turns the hypnotism on himself, on the King of Flan. Um, and yeah, so he sort of turns it against him, and so he's addicted to his
yeah,
own
because he
flan.
falls through like yeah, he like falls through the building and like the TV or his big hypnotizing TV just kind of collapses and it goes like right in front of his face. Yeah, and
Yeah,
starts to hypnotize him.
which turn the tricks on the tricksters, right? That's how. But then, so it breaks it for he breaks it for everyone, where he does a whole thing where he like dehypnotizes by making everyone like I think disgusted by flan, right?
Yeah,
Which then I
but
feel bad for
Courage still
flan because
likes it though, because Courage wants to get some.
yeah, Courage is still he didn't cure himself. Of course, his flan addiction, it's a cartoon, so they don't carry a lot over. So his flan addiction is away. It goes away somehow by the next episode. But by the end of the episode, he's a flan addict still.
Yeah,
No,
but
oh
yeah, this was a really fun one. Like I said,
yeah,
comedy heavy, but I like the characters and the vibes, and definitely was really hit home with the whole
yeah.
consumerism thing.
I was gonna see if there was But this is only the third time that the town of Nowhere has been in trouble. The other times were Curtain of Cruelty and the Tower of Dr. Zalist. So this is the first time that like it was like a mass effect on the
Yeah, on the
townspeople.
town. Yeah,
Yeah, so just the third time. Um, but yeah, other than that, no major little like snippets like that.
cool.
Cool, 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 cool. All right. So the last part of this is under the volcano. Courage's owner and his owners crash down on an island and are welcomed by a native chief. Citizens dress Muriel in their special native clothing so that she can be sacrificed to the volcano god, who is causing the island to shake. Courage must go inside the volcano and talk to the god before the natives drop Muriel in the volcano. This is an interesting one. So this is the first time in the series where I felt the uh, interpretations of certain nationalities was a little dated.
Yeah, I can see that.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say it
definitely.
felt a little old school Disney, where you know how Disney now on Disney Plus puts a little disclaimer being like, yeah, depictions of certain cultures were not so great back then. This sort of was the first time it felt a little, um, because like this Polynesian group, is very, it's trying. Obviously, tribes exist, but it's a very cartoonish, right? It's a very,
Yeah,
it's a caricature of it. But anywho, not to harbor on too much because the meaning of the episode was very good. Um, where when Courage goes to investigate like what's happening with this volcano, it turns out it's just sort of this guy trying to take land from the natives and
yep,
sell it, right? So it's this whole like colonization thing going on. Like it's really, I mean, I don't think you could even really sugarcoat it. I mean, this is clearly what they're going for here.
definitely. Yeah, this is. I think this was more of one of their heavy-handed episodes because that's what I was wondering too. I was kind of confused. I was like, what is gonna be happening like before Courage goes down there and we find out like what is down there. I was like, well, what is gonna be our resolution? What's gonna happen? And then like you said, when Courage finally goes down to talk to the volcano god, we end up finding out, yeah, that it is just a man who's manipulating the volcano and the rumbling and stuff and trying to destroy the island to scare our tribe off. So I think, yeah, like I said, it's very, very heavy with its theme, but I appreciated it. But like I said,
Yeah.
the I can tell the dated culture thing. Yeah, there is some aspects that they definitely went stereotypical for sure with this one.
Yeah, we're a little bit beyond the Ooga Booga tribe sort of trope, but you know. That being said, the message itself was heartfelt, like they were in the right
Yeah,
place. It's sort of how like Stephen King's his heart is always in the right place, but he was a product of his time, so the way he words things may not be so great, with a
yeah, true,
modern
true.
lens. But anywho, I know I really, and then it turned out there was a really a god, right? There actually was, because it was sort of was like a weird, it was like a double reveal right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, yeah, kind of like that one guy, yeah, that ends up popping out. It was like the whole body of fire. It was like a whole flame stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I sort of like that too. Like, it's like it's all about respecting culture, and yeah. No, I really like this one. Um, but yeah. So yeah, we had the real volcano god show up at the end. Um, and yeah, and then they leave and the natives are fine and encourage them to go. I enjoyed this one. Again, this was less horror, but kind of just going back into like their more humanitarian messaging, and
Oh
it was still
yeah.
good. It was a good way to kind of well maybe close out the season, just because I
Maybe because yeah, that's one thing too, is like when they went with the tribe thing and they did that. I like the pilots though, by the way, the monkey and the other pilot that crash lands with them.
oh
I thought that was cute. Them two were cute, but they couldn't, they really couldn't do like any kind of cannibal stuff or anything kind of more extreme. So that's why I think they went more with the sacrificial route thing
yeah
with Muriel. That's why
yeah I know yeah they were going to go full cannibal Holocaust here or
that would
Brain
have been
Inferno
intense.
or something. Could you imagine? An R-rated Courage would be very interesting.
I
Um,
would pay someone to at least do one episode. They'd have, like I said, they'd have to do it pretty good, but like I would like to say at least one batch of episode kind of thing.
Well, I could see a world where, if not rated R, at least a strong PG-13, where they bring, because I feel like if you bring back Courage, you could gear it to younger, you could. But for the people who grew up with it, you could kind of do a little more of a mature take on it, make it really spooky.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would be down for that. Like, like you said, go with a stronger kind of "Are you afraid of the dark" kind of tone, kind of.
Yeah, I think you could crank the notch up with a modern Courage. Yeah, because I think everything was rated G or whatever the TV rating was. I think if you just crank up the rating like one or two, not hard R, but just a little bit, you can make it like you said, a little more. Are you afraid of the dark? Goosebumps. Go a little harder. Um,
Yeah,
you definitely could. But yeah, shall we go on to our last episode?
yeah. Let's do it. Let's close
Uh,
out season 3.
Closing out season three, maybe starting season four. So there's We'll see. So final episode of three slash maybe four. Um, Beaver's Tail. Um, when the local river floods nowhere, Courage must locate the source of the disaster. When it turns out that a beaver's dam is causing it, Courage helps the beaver follow his dreams rather than build dams. So very much akin to The Shadow or any of the other episodes. It's like not a really true villain. It's more about like helping someone find like their actual passion and path in life.
Oh yeah, or like that brought me back, like you said, to that one, or the Scarecrow episode that was trying. He
Scarecrow.
was trying to be scary, and the end, you know what I mean. Like you got to find your true path. And I thought it was cute at first, like how it was like slowly flooding the water down, and they thought they had a lake. Eustace was
Yeah.
like, who had the lake?
Why is the water green in nowhere? I don't.
Oh no, they make it not like I wouldn't want to jump in there. Yeah, it doesn't look
Water
the
is
best.
so gross, and that's coming from a New Yorker where the Hudson River is like, famously nasty. Um, it is real gross. Maybe everything happens because of the water in nowhere. There is
But yeah,
something
I
there.
thought that. Oh, but yeah, I thought this one was cute, like I said, and then it just gets worse and worse as we know, and then Courage ends up finding out, taking his little duck floaty and his little spoon, and kind of goes to find out that the source of our water problem is a beaver who's building a very, very big dam.
hmm The physics in this episode, I mean, it's a cartoon, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. But it was like Courage tried to bite the dam, his teeth broke, his hand broke, but then like I think like a yo-yo broke the wall. I think a yo-yo made the first crack, which is from a lobster because, everyone knows lobsters play yo-yo.
I know he was a reoccurring part of this episode too, the lobster. He was like a constant. I think they did like three kind of ending landing jokes with him because Courage first goes down there and gets the yo-yo stolen by him.
hmm There were a couple. It was like the yo-yo, and then there were a couple of beats. I can't remember all, but yeah. So it turns out that the beaver likes music. Well, I also love that the beaver showed his whole backstory in one of those like little
Oh yeah, the click, yeah, from
click and
back in the
find, the
day.
click views or whatever. That was very funny. He was like, "Here you go. Here's like 5 pictures of my life. I'm going to tell you my whole story." Which is his dad sort of, told him that his music passion was stupid or whatever, and then, you have to build dams. You're a beaver. Um, and yeah, but anyway, so I guess Courage entices him because he figures out how to play bass on the yo-yo.
Yeah, he plays a pretty mean bass, that's for sure. Courage does. I liked it.
Yeah. Apparently the beaver loves jazz. Who knew? Beavers love jazz.
Yep. And then he starts to like kind of with like Courage, they start to kind of jam out, play together, and then as the beavers go, and his tail breaks the rest of the dam and
Yeah.
releases the water.
Well, I love that it's also sort of a play on like, like his natural talent is his tail, right? So his tail, which is good for building the dam, is also good for drumming, right? So it's like just because you could do this one thing doesn't mean you have to use it for A, you can use it for B, you know.
Yep.
Which I thought was really, it's nice. It's very relatable. I like that.
Oh yeah, I even thought I loved it how the beaver said it too. He was like, "My dad said I couldn't play skins anymore," and he's
Like he was a real jazzy beaver. And then yeah, at the end, yeah, then he's I guess started a band with Courage.
Yep, that van. Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, so you saw the Beaver parents next to Eustace and Muriel, which was, the fact that Eustace went to see Courage play is, shocking.
I know the fact that they got him out of the couch and in there was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe there's some character growth there.
Tiny bit, yeah. This is inches.
A
Eustace
little
by
bit.
the end, we'll see maybe like a little like pat on the back or something.
hmm well, that brings us to the last bit of the episode,
Oh,
which was this is my like I would say my second favorite of this whole batch, which
nice.
is the Nutcracker. So Courage and his owners go to the junkyard to hunt for useful trash, which is the first time I think we've ever seen them go like trash diving for whatever reason.
For real.
Which definitely is something I feel like Eustace would do. But yeah. So Courage finds an old nutcracker. Uh, and two man-eating rats want to feast on Muriel and Eustace. After Eustace is captured, Courage must get Muriel away from the rats. Uh, so this is fun. I think before we hit record, you were saying this was very much like a musical episode. There wasn't a lot of talking, if any.
No, yeah, this was definitely a dance number musical type episode and very strong symphonies. I know we recognize there's like good two very recognizable, like I don't know the
Mhm.
names, but there's two very recognizable songs that were in this in terms of symphonies and music and numbers.
Yeah, so you have Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy,
Nice.
Waltz of the Flowers, and the Trepak Russian Dance.
See
So I
that's why
think
we bring Steve along. Steve is the cultured one. He
uh,
knows he knows what he's talking about.
just Google things. That's it. But I think that, yeah. So I mean, real references from the Nutcracker here, from Tchaikovsky's ballet, and it really, I mean, it's really fun. Obviously, 'cause, I'm not a master of ballet, but with the Nutcracker, you have like the Rat King and this whole battle situation, and
Yeah.
so we get a little snippet of that. They have kind of their own rendition, which is all right. We're gonna give you two man-eating rats, and they're gonna ballet their way through. But yeah, no, the movement was great. I thought the choreography was really fun with the
Oh
throw.
yeah, it was so cool. This was one of those episodes that just had like I just had a huge smile on my face the whole time I was watching this one. It was very good, and I was like definitely, and especially with the even the Nutcracker design, like that. There's just a certain design about that toy. It like you know what I mean. It had kind of a 3D almost feature to it, but it wasn't. But it just had a lot of detail to it, and I like the fact that that was a major part of the episode too, and that ends up being like how Courage is kind of able to do his dance number with the Nutcracker in that third act.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah, the animation was really fun here too. The Yeah, I think it's just the energy of it. Like you said, you had a smile on your face the whole time. I think it's just so, yeah, it was very energetic. I feel like it should have been, nominated for one of those like a animated, well, an Emmy kind of, or I forget.
Yeah, like
There's an
yeah, when they
award
do for
for
television. Yeah.
kids TV. It wasn't though, unfortunately. I don't know if they won any awards for Courage. They might. I have to double check. But yeah, no, this was definitely like a high note. Whether they ended the season with this or started the season with this, I don't know. But either way, it's a strong ender and it's a strong opener.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's why I liked it because, like I said, in terms of season three, like I said, if this is like the last one, counting this one, like I would count it as season three for me right now. That this was my favorite batch of episodes because we had the strongest horror vibes, but also the themes, the stories, the resolutions, and our villainous characters and antagonists that we had. I loved all of them pretty much in every episode, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, save for like, the obviously like iconic, like Ramses Curse and like the naughty one, I forget his name, the cousin. Save for some like the iconic episodes. These are some really strong episodes. I really feel like the show just really kind of, I guess, feels like it really found itself with these, which is it's really interesting because they do go so in so many directions throughout as the show is going on. Um, yeah, it's wild. But there's always something for everyone, which is what's so cool with this
Yeah.
show.
So thank you again, Steve, for joining me. Like I said, on this finally wrapping up season three, we will definitely be tackling season four pretty soon. That's exciting because once we finish that, we're going to finish off with our movie. We're very excited to get to that too because we have Courage the Cowardly Dog meeting Scooby Doo, which is going to be a big deal because everybody knows I'm a Scooby Doo fan. Steve loves him some Scooby Doo as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel and everything. Like, subscribe. I'll have all of Steve and Voices from the Mausoleum's links down below in the comments section. Before we go, Steve, or sign off, is there anything that you want to talk about or plug that you have going on from
Yeah.
Voices?
So February is a cool month for us. We are partnering with Found TV, which is a found footage streaming app that just launched not too long ago.
Awesome.
And Angel worked her networking magic. And yeah, we are besties with that app now,
That's
which is really
awesome.
cool. So we actually were featured on the app itself. Angel went and put in like, her top 10 favorites. There's some overlap too. Some of my favorite found footage are on that list as well. So yeah, so you can see what some of our favorite found footage movies are on there. You can go check out found footage or found TV. The app, I think it's on the App Store, Android, Apple, where whatever you use. And then they were actually sort of sponsoring our Found Footage Friday episodes this month, which is really cool. So I did an episode last week on a French film called Night Shot, which was really surprising. I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
And then Angel for the next couple of Fridays, she's going to be doing some gaming, some found footage gaming for those episodes. So there's going to be some cool gaming content sort of mixed in there with the found footage movies. Uh, and then what else we have coming up? Some more Coffee Crypt. There's a lot of news, a lot of new stuff coming our way. Nora, I'll have to have you come on so we could talk about Final Destination Bloodlines and a lot of news, a lot of
Yeah.
cool stuff coming. We got our Megan 2.0 trailer to talk. Well, teaser, not full trailer, but it's really just Megan shaking her ass, and I'm all for
Yeah,
it.
the poster was cool. I like the poster, the color. I was vibing with the color of the poster.
Yeah. Oh man, that's she's amazing. Anyway, can't hide my excitement for Megan 2.0. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of the same, a lot of new exciting stuff. So yeah, come check us out.
Oh yeah, a lot of big moves for voices in 2025. I'm very excited, very happy with that news. That is very exciting because found footage. If people don't know, Angel and Steve know what they're talking about when it comes down to found footage for sure. So,
Angel knows the
thank you
most. I
again.
just tag along.
I just stand next to her and look pretty.
I'm learning. I'm appreciating it more because of her.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of those genres that kind of gets shoo-shooed very easily. But there's a lot of gems in there, so it's interesting. It's a really cool genre. But anywho, that's my spiel.
definitely for sure. Again, thank you, Steve, for joining us and everything. And it has been really fun tackling season three. Season four, I hope, has some exciting episodes for us. To all of you out there, like I said, subscribe, share. We really appreciate that. But most importantly, I want y'all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.